Yuzu's sitting down and Shoya walks in and they're talking and Shoya's like, check it out, and passes a magazine. And there's a photo that's taken in the magazine and it's not of a dead animal. It's of the outline of where the pigeon had died, where there's no pigeon left, but just flowers had grown around the outline of the pigeon.
I have no memory of that.
Yeah,
I missed
Dude, it gave me fucking chills, dude. It gave
man.
me chills because
Yeah,
it was a perfect representation of how his sister had escaped that fate.
I like it.
And it lined up also with the fact that this movie uses a ton of I believe
imagery.
I believe the term is floriography, which
Okay.
is communication through flowers.
That's a made up word though.
That's
It's a
interesting.
real thing. It's a real
I
study.
don't know.
It's been studied across multiple cultures for centuries. That there is very real communication done by tons of historic countries, and tons of historical context. Where there's communication with using flowers.
Like,
Yeah.
when a
Heavily in this
landscaper will like spell out a company logo with flowers on the front lawn.
Dude, you know what? That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah?
Shut the fuck up.
But that's floriography.
Shut the fuck up. Take one.
What a piece of shit.
I guess you gotta do it again.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I can feel you wanting to do it. I can feel it, man.
No.
I can feel it.
No, you're good.
Where are you? That's fine. It's fine. I feel like that fucking meme where it's the dog that just says,
This is fine. It's
This is
fire
fine.
all around him.
Yeah.
That meme means so much to so many people.
Oh, I know. It's so true.
It's a good one.
And welcome back, my Shweebs, my little Shweeby weebies, to Anime Shmanime.
What's up, Shweebs?
And today we have...
I'm Jordy. Mm-hmm. Is that what you meant?
Yes.
Okay.
What else?
I thought maybe you were going to intro the movie and I fucked it up.
No.
Okay.
And who's in the corner?
That's me, Jay.
Jay Senpai.
Hello.
And
What's up?
I'm your other
Hello,
host,
everybody.
Mikey
What's up?
Lee.
What's up?
This is the podcast where we try to get Jordy, my skeptical friend here, to start liking anime, which he does a little bit.
Yeah, always have, we should say. There's
Yeah.
always been ones that I did like.
Yeah.
That's never not been the case.
But you had a fringe interest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
and mostly like the really popular among non-anime fans titles were the ones that would make their way in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Attack on Avatar.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm wearing an Avatar shirt right now.
Yeah. But that's North American anime.
Yeah.
So it's not like true.
Doesn't count,
Doesn't
bro.
count.
Yeah.
It's in its own fucking thing, bro.
Yeah, I loved Afro Samurai.
Afro Samurai. Okay, Afro Samurai was fucking.
Yeah, and
like,
Samurai Jack.
Samurai Jack was also great, but
Not
another
anime, though.
not anime.
Is Afro Samurai anime?
Afro Samurai's anime, for
But it's
sure.
American.
But yes.
In the style of.
I thought it was like an American co-production or
Yeah,
something,
that
wasn't it?
that was
Okay.
American. Co-production.
Anyways, that's not what we're covering
No,
today.
today we have. I'm Jordy.
This guy.
He's
He's on one, guys.
It's a good thing that I'm fucking lazy at editing these days. I'm just gonna leave all this shit in.
That's okay. We're having fun.
Yeah, but we are covering A Silent Voice,
The Shape of Voice.
A Shape of Voice. Your name.
What? You think so?
2.0.
No, I don't
but
think so.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
But yeah, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Again, we are going to spoil the fuck out of everything.
We're going to talk about it, everything about it. So
Yeah.
if you haven't seen it, maybe don't. Or maybe, like, if you don't care, then just keep listening or watching us.
Yeah. Wherever you get your podcasts.
I think you should definitely watch this movie and then
Yes.
and then listen to us talk about it.
Sure, yeah.
That's the best mix.
Yeah.
I mean, for all of ours, I think that's the thing. But if you're just here for us, then, like, yeah, I don't know, it doesn't really matter.
yeah. If you're just jumping into this episode and haven't seen any of our other episodes, like you're going to find out how heartless and cold and so and so Jordy is.
Well, I guess let's find out.
On a real serious note, though, guys, another heads up off the top of this movie deals with a lot of like really serious,
Yes, trigger
heavy
warnings.
stuff.
That's true.
So, suicide talk for sure. bullying talk. There's going to be a lot of heavy topics covered. So trigger warning on that. We'll probably have some links down below that you can click on if you're dealing with any of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And also always feel free to reach out to us because we go through the same stuff and we're your pals. So
We're all human beings at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Even the animated ones.
Hi.
I wasn't talking about you. You're real life.
well, he's kind of got
be.
characteristics of both.
That's true. Yeah,
I'm very animated.
You're very
but
chibi.
I you know what? I'm okay with that actually. No one's ever called me chibi before until just now.
Is it funny that it came from me?
Yeah,
Of all
a
people?
little
I
bit. A
think
little
it
weird.
is. I think it's weirding me out.
Yeah.
All right.
But
Let's move past it then.
Let's get into the hate.
Okay, here, let me give you something. A Silent Voice is a Hallmark movie for young and aspiring boomer ladies.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
It's a really heavy-handed approach to like an emotional topic.
Yeah.
In a way, it's very sensationalized in a way that a Hallmark movie would.
Okay.
And Hallmark movies are like watched by elderly boomer ladies, and this is a movie for like younger people.
Yeah.
To get you, it's training for boomers.
Okay,
I
you
guess.
explain that in a decent way, but I will say this is one of your weaker comparisons.
I'll agree
Yeah.
with that. I had a hard time with this one.
but
I definitely.
that was a reach.
My description was the equivalent.
reaching in.
I usually love them. I usually love them.
My description was the equivalent of how good you are at snapping the snapper.
Go fuck you. I am very proficient at snapping the fucking snapper. You just tend to interrupt me.
Well, that's, remains to be seen. But I was definitely getting Hallmark movie vibes. You know what I mean? It was a very boiled down like approach to a very heavy handed topic, right? Very
Yes.
intense topic.
I do agree about that to a point, but man, because when this movie first came out, it also came out during Your Name. So I'm
Okay.
right.
Same year.
Interesting.
So that's why I said Your Name earlier.
Okay.
But I feel like if it wasn't in the same year as Your Name, it would have probably done much better.
Interesting, because one of my thoughts was that it was a good movie and I enjoyed it and I felt all the feels they wanted me to feel to a point, but it wasn't an excellent movie, and I don't think this is anybody's favorite movie.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't say that. It's definitely a good movie, though.
Yeah.
I would put it in my top 20,
Really?
maybe
It's not making
tw-
any of my
yeah.
lists. Let me put it that
It
way.
would-
It was fine and I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, maybe top 30.
Okay.
30 movies.
Sure.
Because I know that's
Of all time or anime movies?
anime movies.
Okay,
Yeah. Because
maybe.
that list is actually relatively
Well,
short because
I was
there's not a
gonna
lot
say,
of anime.
Technically,
movies,
it's on
feature
mine
films.
too because I only know a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be closer to the bottom of that list.
Okay, no, but for me though, because when this movie came out and during Your Name, I was just getting to become a child and youth worker, right? But
it's special to you.
Yeah. So, but the funny thing is that it didn't hit me the same way because I did a rewatch of this.
Yeah.
Because it's been so long, and I was like, oh. This hits me way more now since I've worked in the field for 5 years. I don't
You can
work,
relate more.
I don't work in it anymore, but
Yeah.
thinking back to when I used to work at the center,
Yeah.
and as a child and youth worker, I'm like, holy fuck, oh yeah, this is real shit. Not to mention, I've dealt with some of my own mental health stuff too, right?
Sure.
It's just
Yeah.
and like we said, trigger warning, right? And it's like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, this is sad.
Yeah, and I guess it depends on the kind of stuff you've dealt with in your life, because I also have dealt with some mental health stuff, but I didn't relate to this. It didn't trigger any of those emotions. I felt the feelings they wanted me to feel to an extent, but nothing over the top, nothing groundbreaking as far as feeling feels or
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing too for me is in college, I took American Sign Language for 2 years.
But this wouldn't be American Sign Language.
No, this wasn't. No, this is Japanese Sign Language. Some of the stuff, but I'm just saying that's another thing to relate to on top of that of when I first got into trying to be a child and youth worker. I was thinking, oh, maybe it might be cool to work with deaf children and But so I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But
so you already had your head wrapped around a lot of these concepts, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's kind of cool. I did think a lot of the time throughout this movie that I wish I knew sign language. And then right away afterwards, I was like, but if I learned sign language here, it wouldn't help in this movie because it's going to be completely different, right?
It's, you know what's funny? It's that last scene where one of the friends, the girl that doesn't fuck my goddamn name remembering is
Stupid bitch girl? Is that what you're talking about?
Ueno?
Yeah, Ueno.
Yeah, she's stupid bitch girl.
Yeah, she learned how to say baka.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
so the K, the ka,
Yeah.
is actually the same K in American Sign Language.
Okay.
So
They got
there's-
one.
Dude, man, big insensitive bastard.
Here's a question, Jordan, and I promise this is not meant to sound like a dick or anything like that.
That's all right. I can take it.
Do you know like a lot of deaf people? Have you like interacted with a lot of deaf people in your life?
A handful, mostly through Milady, who like has worked with people who have like speech disabilities or hearing disabilities. And she knows ASL really well. And we taught my daughter before she could speak a couple the standard things you teach baby, more and no and stuff like that. But no, I haven't really.
Yeah, and I the only reason I ask is just because like I don't know. I feel like your experiences with people with disabilities, that level of experience and exposure might change how you really interact with this movie and how hard it hits you. Like,
True.
I grew up with a girl in my neighborhood who was deaf,
Yeah.
and like she was in my friend group, and I would hang out with her constantly. And then there was another girl that I went through like 3.5 years at OCAD, close friends with, who was also deaf, and like so I'm not to say that like, oh, I have all this experience, so like it hit me harder type of
You're
thing.
so cool, Jay.
Yeah. No, but just like
I'm kidding.
That can't not factor in
Yeah,
when you're
true.
watching this. You know what I mean? Because like I see her, and then I literally see the young deaf girl that I grew up with struggling to fit in and to make things work and communicate. And I think it just hits me really, really fucking hard.
Yeah, I totally can understand that. And that's for sure why it probably hit you harder, and you harder because you have experiences that relate directly to the film as well. But like what I'll say is, because it's so niche and it deals with such a specific situation. Compared to Your Name, which is more of like kind of a universal love story that everyone can get behind. Again, there's no way this movie could do that well. There's no way this movie could feel that bigness of feeling, that large kind of emotion. Right?
Well, that's the thing. That's such a big theme in this, and it's so specific. The other major specific theme in this, obviously, is a bully who has the tides turn on him, and how he continues to progress as a young man and grow into the person that he eventually becomes, while dealing with all of that and dealing with the repercussions, seeking that redemption and that salvation in the end, which obviously he gets. But like, that's another huge specific theme where like, if you haven't been bullied, or if you weren't a bully, you know what I mean? Maybe you don't connect as strongly with that aspect of the story. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people that were like really heavily bullied, sometimes bullied out of their schools and having to change schools because of it. And like, so for me, like the themes, they were like, I agree that like their handling of them was super heavy handed, but like, they fucking hit for me, man.
Yeah,
they really hit.
It almost seemed like a caricature of what the movie was supposed to be. Do you know what I mean? Because it was so heavy-handed.
It was just like, it was like so here's the thing. Again, we're adapting a manga.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're adapting a longer, more fleshed out, slower story.
Okay.
And we're condensing that into a 2-hour film.
Actually,
it's going to be cranked up to 11 in some ways in order to make that happen. It's going to come across extra heavy-handed because these are things that they have more time with the manga to let this stew.
For sure.
But here, okay, so I'm going to interject here. I think it was a good choice for them to go in a little bit more heavy-handed, because the general public probably hasn't dealt with some of these themes as often, right? So in order for people to really understand, I think they needed it to be spelt out for them. Unless you're working within that community, right? Like you're not really gonna know.
If they had done less, I probably would have been like, why didn't they make that a bigger deal?
Yeah,
that might have been my note.
Maybe,
because I'm never satisfied. Apparently,
we know that.
Yeah,
exactly.
As far as relating, like you mentioned, it's a bully who has the tides turned. Like, and the big theme of him, that the big thing he goes through is low self-esteem, right? Like he feels like a piece of shit, because he was one, and then he like has his personal growth halted at that point. So he just goes through his entire adolescence feeling like a piece of shit. I've felt like a piece of shit for a long time as well too, so I could relate to that. I mean, he felt it way worse than I've ever felt it, so that's where the heavy-handed thing comes in. But like, what I'm trying to get at is like, I can relate a little bit too. Maybe not as much as you guys, but a little bit,
I think everybody can to some aspect of this movie, no matter what, right? Like any kind of coming of youth, growing up, like you're going to feel insecure. You're going to feel your self-esteem is going to be low at some point, right? Like because you're figuring yourself out. You don't know yourself. My big issue was like, you see this kid, this adult who says, "Hey, we know this is you. Stand up." Or that scene where the principal comes in and talks to you, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but where was this teacher before? If he knew and he was seeing this kid do it,
That was intentional.
yeah, it's like why are you shaming him? Like again, like I'm very biased because of my background, and it's like why didn't you just go up and talk to this kid and actually help him understand what's going on?
Well, here maybe now, I'll be Mikey for a little bit now.
Okay,
because I'll justify it. As a teacher, you're not a counselor, right? Maybe you're not seeing the gravity of it until that kid gets pushed so far that they leave school, and you realize like, oh, I didn't realize it was that big of a deal for that kid, and now you're all angry and upset about it, right?
That might be the reason, but that's still a failing.
yeah,
okay, fair enough, sure,
100%.
But that was intentional. The director wanted to illustrate that bullying on this scale is a failure on many people's parts.
Yeah.
That this isn't just the one ringleader, the boy,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, who's to blame here, that there are many different stages that failed this girl along the way, right?
Well,
and
dude,
they really
man.
wanted to lay that home. So that actually the complacency of the teacher and the way that they brush certain things off was 100% intentional.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that it rubbed you like that.
Oh, it rubbed me so
because that tells you
hard.
that it was wildly successful in their aims to portray that, because you worked in it and you fucking caught it, man.
Yeah.
Brilliant. This movie's brilliant, dude.
That's funny. Yeah, I didn't think of it too much, to be honest with you. That part didn't affect me too hard.
Really?
Yeah, but fuck that teacher. He's a fucking asshole. He fucked up.
Yeah, I know. I mean, culturally, especially even in Korean culture, like there is a lot of shaming that does happen.
Sure,
right?
and probably a lot of hands off
Yeah.
at first until it's like a big deal, right?
Yeah, like suck it up, like or whatever. But I think the other thing too that my small issue with this movie is that I would have loved to have seen the development a little bit more, because like at the beginning of where we got what's that guy's name again?
Ishida.
Ishida. Yes, thank you. Fuck, my CRS is really kicking in hard.
It's okay, I got you.
I
I
know.
got your back with real names or fake names, whatever you need.
But with Ishida, like I kind of felt a little bit like Up the movie. You know how in Up the first 20 minutes is like fucking hey, pound you, right?
Yeah.
And then same with Ishida, like you see him sell all his stuff. You see all that. And then I wish I got a little bit more of the growth there.
See, I kind of liked it, to be honest with you, because to me, and I'm going to put it in terms you can understand, it's Batman's origin story. You know what I mean? You don't see Batman's adolescence until you get the movie that spells that out for you. In a regular Batman movie, you get the origin story, and then you get plugged into where Batman is now.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Batman, bro.
It's an odd comparison, but I guess it kind of works.
It does, right?
Yeah, I guess.
You get the origin story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't need to know, because what would have happened all those years would have just been him feeling like a piece of shit. You don't need 7 years of him feeling like a piece of shit. You just need to know he feels that way.
Okay.
Well, interestingly enough, you know, if you want to satisfy that craving, again, the manga definitely goes a lot more in depth into those ideas behind like the shame and the guilt that he felt in the wake of her leaving the school and all that, and when everybody kind of turned on him. They kind of gloss over those middle years in the movie in middle school, because like they like, oh, everybody hates him in middle school, and then before you know it, they're in high school now.
Yeah, it really did happen in one scene. He walks outside, he throws her notebook in the pond, and then the next thing you know, he's in the pond.
And he's in high school.
And then the next thing you know, he's in high school all of a sudden.
The manga fleshes that aspect out, so you get a little bit more, I guess, of Shoya's like growth, I guess, and just it dives more into, again, the ideas behind the shame and the guilt that he's feeling. Yeah, which I think we got plenty of in the film, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they did a good job of like fleshing out his character, making you understand fully where he's at.
Well, yeah, especially because like halfway through the movie, like I cared about him deeply.
Yeah.
Which was like an impressive feat, considering how badly I wanted to just fucking throttle him in the first like 20 minutes.
They really made you hate him in the first part of the movie, yeah.
See, which is why it's such a feat that you care about him so much later on.
See, that's the thing. Like, I guess for me, like, I've worked with at-risk youth and the ones that do the bullying, and it's like, no, there's so much more there to a
so you
kid.
never wanted to hate him, even when he was being a dickhead.
Yeah,
you wanted to hug him.
I wanted to be like, buddy, like, what's going on? Like, what is really happening here for you? It's like, well, I just don't understand her. So also, kids are so awkward. They don't know how to socialize properly.
Yeah.
They don't know how to communicate.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm just like, oh, buddy, like you're such a good kid at the end of the day. I know you are.
Yeah.
Right. Like you can communicate with this girl. Like you just got to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And you'll be able to do it. And
You'd be a good teacher. His teacher was a piece of shit.
this is okay. This
His
is
teacher didn't have that feeling towards him, right?
This is my issue with the school system. We're getting a little political, but like
Let's not get in the weeds on the school system.
I know, sorry.
Politics today.
But this is my it's just I'm not going to go deep, right? It's just more so of like I've worked with a lot of teachers, and the teachers, the good teachers are the ones that don't care about your marks, they care about you.
Yeah.
And when they care about you, your marks will naturally get better.
Interesting.
Right? Because once you understand and you make that connection with a kid, because a lot of kids don't learn the same way as everybody else. You can't like what does the school do? They just try to make you a little square to fit in right?
Yeah.
So a good teacher would connect with a kid,
Yeah.
right?
So yeah, teacher sucks.
There's a lot of good teachers out there. I've met them. I've worked with them.
I've never met that many from my schooling, but anyway.
Yes, but anyway.
So back to Shoya though. I thought something that was really interesting that they did with him was even in those early points when he was like being a piece of shit, there was a few shots where they kind of lingered on his face where he's looking around at the other students, like kind of as things are starting to ramp up. And before he kind of crosses the line, usually he'll look around and he sees that people are kind of laughing and that they're kind of enjoying it. And you see he has this moment of like, of contemplation of like, oh, if
he makes a choice.
If I do this, like they'll like me because they think this is funny. They're having a good time. Like I'll fit in. I'll make friends doing this.
Yeah.
There's a weird sense of validation,
and it's coming from this vulnerable, scared place, right? That's why he's doing it. It's to try and hide his own vulnerabilities and insecurities. And when you know that, there is that drop of sympathy you have for him because it's just like this is just a lost kid who's just trying to figure out like social life and being friends with kids and how to do that. And he has no fucking idea what he's doing.
Yeah.
And a few bad instances gave him the wrong inputs.
Yeah. And then it snowballed from there.
And then it's out of everybody else's hands at that point.
Yeah.
So, you know, even though I hated him at the beginning, they were smart about how they portrayed him.
Yeah.
They gave him the ability to be redeemed later on with those small moments.
For sure. You're so observant. Those were so subtle that I just hated him.
Oh man! But before we really get into the meat of this podcast, which we should do because we've spent a lot of time now just talking bullshit at the top. But the art in this, I think, is just so beautiful that it's really what kept me so glued to the screen. I think that's why I picked up on all the subtle looks and all the little subtle shots, was because this is such a fucking beautiful movie to look at.
Just the small details of like how Ishida always has the tag of his shirt just out.
Yeah,
all
I noticed
the
that.
time.
I noticed that too.
Yeah. It just adds like to like what kind of person he is, right? And I know that feeling. I fucking hate the tag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't hate the tag. He doesn't give a shit about it though. I tuck mine in every day.
I couldn't take my eyes off the screen either time that I watched this. Yeah.
I will talk about art. We're jumping the gun, but I found the art to just kind of be fine, decent, middle of the road. It didn't stand out in any way, shape, or form to me.
Yeah, I don't think it was like groundbreaking in any way, but I just do think that it was on par for what a feature film should present.
I would, from my, again, maybe having less experience, to me it was like one step back from what a feature film, because we've seen some top-notch, next-level films. You've spoiled me.
But
you did this to me.
No, you can't just like be spoiled and not appreciate
it. Was
the art
fine.
form
I have nothing
right?
bad to say about it. Okay, but it just wasn't like
You said it was a step back. That's a bad thing to say about
because
it.
a step back from the bar we've set is what I'm saying. As far as a feature film. Yeah.
I think this was okay. We're gonna get in the weeds.
We're gonna get in the weeds.
Super disagree with you.
Yes.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Senpai, give us some history, bro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get into this.
Okay.
So, silent voice, or in Japanese, koe no katachi, literally meaning the shape of voice. Which of course you also see in the opening title sequence, which was a little confusing for me at first, but
That confused me for a second too. I was like, wait, am I watching the wrong movie?
yeah, is a 2016 Japanese animated drama film produced by Kyoto Animation, directed by Naoko Yamada and written by Reiko Yoshida, featuring character designs by Futoshi Nishiya and music by Kensuke Ushio. It is based on the manga of the same name, written and illustrated by Yoshitoki Oima. The film follows a former bully turned social outcast who decides to reconnect and befriend the deaf girl he had victimized years prior. Plans for an animated film adaptation were announced back in November 2014. Kyoto Animation was confirmed to produce the film in November 2016. Silent Voice premiered at in Tokyo on August 24th, 2016. It was released in Japan on September 17th, 2016, wide scale, and worldwide between February and June 2017. So that's a long theatrical run across the world, but it was in a lot of film festivals as well.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and that's actually where it got a lot of notoriety and fame. It was in the film festivals because publicly this was kind of getting overshone by Your Name, which came out the same year.
Sure, and rightfully so in my opinion.
And award shows wise, Your Name really cleaned up. But this was the second biggest film of the year behind Your Name that year.
Film or anime film?
Film.
Wow.
Remember, dude, in
Japan. Japan must not have a big live action.
Japan's top 20 like movies of all time.
Yeah.
Like 15 of them are anime films.
I think that really never sunk into me because I always am so surprised when you say that.
Yeah, man.
Like I guess like
Demon Slayer, Mugen Train, dude.
Yeah.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Demon Slayer, Mugen Train, biggest Japanese film ever.
That blows my mind because it's literally just a season of a TV show boiled down into an hour and a half, 2 hours.
I know, man. So
it's not even really a movie.
Yeah.
So absolutely, but like shows you how big this movie still was, even in the shadow of Your Name.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Received highly positive reviews from critics, with praise going to the direction, animation, and the psychological complexity of the characters, which we will get into because I think all of these characters were incredibly unique and complex. And it has grossed over $31.6 million worldwide. And then just another little fact, it was actually about our boy Makoto Shinkai.
Whoa, what?
Makoto Shinkai, director of Your Name, called the film a fantastic piece of work and a polished and grand production, which even he is unable to replicate. It won Best Animation of the Year in the 26th Japan Movie Critics Awards, where director Naoko Yamada also received praise for her work on the film. At the 2017 Annecy International Animated Film Festival, the film was selected as one of the 9 feature films in competition. It's very, very well beloved. Even on fucking Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 95% fresh.
So
that's no small feat on the fucking Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I know that Shinkai didn't like Your Name, right? Like we had gone over that in our.
He was
previous,
unsatisfied.
He was
with
unsatisfied.
Wrong.
He didn't feel.
He's wrong. He's wrong.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Right. But that's high praise, right?
Yes.
So
I will say I like Your Name a little bit better.
I do like Your Name a little bit better.
I think that this is absolutely at home, right up alongside it in the same realm in my brain.
I think what happened to me, dude, is that Your Name was the second movie we ever covered. And before that, the only movies I'd ever seen that were anime were Ghibli movies, which are their own thing. Fantastic, but their own thing.
Oscar winning.
Yeah. And then Your Name, I was so caught off guard by it. So caught off guard. Like literally went in to watch that not knowing anything about it at all, what was going to happen to me.
Yeah.
And things happened to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Things happened to me.
It's a special one.
But now everything has to stand up to that bar. And the problem is like the movie may hold up, but the impact it's going to have is never going to hold up.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Fair.
At the end of the day, I think, okay, granted, we do a lot of comparisons on this podcast, and I think subjectively, like when we watch movies and anime, I do a lot of comparisons. But
everybody does.
But I think you gotta put that to the side sometimes when you're watching a movie like this, right? Or watching a new anime or series, right? Because that's just gonna take away from it.
Yeah.
That the anime doesn't really deserve.
I'm not intelligent enough to do that, so you're just gonna have to bear with me.
That's gonna be a highlight.
At least he knows.
I'm just saying it how it is.
At least he knows.
Okay, let's go through our standard segments here. Well, let's talk about the world a little bit. I mean, it's Japan.
Modern Japan.
No funny business.
No
magic.
But it is very, very pretty in this movie.
It was nice.
Like, especially the kois and that one little side where, you had the cherry blossoms coming over. It was really pretty.
It was nice.
Fuck off.
I liked it. Again, nothing bad to say about it.
Yeah.
It just didn't strike me. But that's the art conversation, which we already had.
Yes.
A couple things I did notice, like there was some cool lighting stuff, some like lens flares and like white washes. There was a train scene that struck me when they took the train that I was like, oh, I'm really liking this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it had its moments.
It has its moments.
Yeah.
Right.
But we don't have to go deep into art. I know Jay would probably have a lot to say, but he also maybe doesn't want to get in the weeds about it. Do you want to say something like?
I just thought it was really beautiful. I thought the character design was great. I thought everybody, felt like recognizable and unique.
I'll agree to that. Actually,
they didn't fall into the usual formula that a lot of these things do. Maybe at a glance, each character might, but when you line them all up, they took care in making sure that they all felt unique from a visual standpoint.
Yeah, I think it was a good idea for Ishida to be so much taller, too, in his high school years.
Yeah, interesting.
Right? Because they were Ishida and what's the girl's name again?
Shoko.
They were like the same height, I think, in elementary school.
You always pick their short nicknames, and I always write their full long names that are hard to remember.
Well, no, Shoko's like one of her names.
Yeah. Oh, how many names does she have?
She's got like 3.
Like a first and a last?
First, last, and some.
I never know.
Ishida also has that nickname from his new best friend.
I call him Ishida, and the girl's name was Nishimiya?
It's Shoya Ishida.
Oh, okay.
No.
And Nimiya Shoko.
I always just pick the name that shows up in the subtitles the most.
Which would be Shoko and Shoya.
Or maybe, you know what? Actually, probably what I do is pick the name I hear first.
Yeah.
And then just use that going forward.
Shweebs, maybe you guys could chime in and tell us which name you guys like.
Yeah.
And when you guys tell us what your name is.
Yeah.
That you like.
Your name is a great movie.
Your name. Or one of the characters' name. You can also click and subscribe.
You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch.
Goddamn.
You son of a bitch. You got me that time, actually. You got me that time.
Yeah. Click and subscribe. You fucking do it.
I killed him. But yes, please click like and subscribe and tell your friends about us and, I don't know, get some notifications going on. It means a lot. We appreciate it. And it helps us to want to keep doing this more than we already want to, which is a lot. So,
We just have fun with
Hell
this.
yeah.
Fuck.
Okay, let's go through characters and I'll try to pick the right names as we talk about them.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about Shoya. Okay, Shoya.
Yeah, Shoya.
Already. One thing I noticed right off the top is that at first he's the only character wearing all black. And I thought that was interesting because Jay, was something you said earlier about how there's those moments when he realizes like, oh, I can like maybe get some acceptance by like making these bad choices by putting him all in black and having him hang out only with his 1 or 2 friends. I was like, oh, that was me when I was a kid. I was the weird kid. And so I was like, oh, I get it. He's the weird outcast kid right off the bat. Do you know what I mean? I found that was really effective. And then we already talked about they work really hard to make you not like him. Like really hard. And then it sets him up for this massive redemption arc, which is the growth he gets, right? And that's the whole journey in this movie. And it's not just kind of like as a viewer you're experiencing it. It's literally his goal is redemption. Like that's what he's doing, everything he's doing, right?
Yeah.
Which is cool. And he has a tough go doing it, right? And so it's like he really has to trudge along, right? And try and like...
And he hurt some other friends along the way.
Yeah, it's like a 2 steps forward, 1 step back every step of the way.
Yeah.
Him. Yeah. He was a good character, likable. Yeah,
I liked him. Actually, one of my favorite was Shoyo's. Is that right?
Shoya?
Shoya. Thank you. God.
you're good.
Shoya's sister.
Not Shoya.
Shoko.
Oh, Shoko. See, fuck, I knew it.
Yuzuru.
What's a name?
What's a name? I'm so bad.
Her name's Yuzuru.
Yeah, Yuzuru.
Or Yuzu, as they call her quite a bit.
Yeah, Yuzu. Yuzu's sister.
She was cool. She's tricksy as fuck, dude.
Oh, I love her sass, man.
She's got Maxi, kid. That's what they would say.
You know what vibes it gave me?
What's that?
The younger brother in Weathering with You.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure, yeah, for sure. A little more sass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
a little more sass.
But like, how old are you really?
You
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why you got some like 30-year-old brain up in that head as like some 9-year-old kid?
Totally.
You're too smart for your own good.
Sure, but then these like really young moments, like when she runs away.
Or when their grandmother dies.
Grandmother dies
exactly.
and she shows up in the
I'm scared.
uniform. Yeah. right?
She also has this like what I liked about her too is she's so protective of her sister. Like everything she's doing, especially at first, she like pretends to be her boyfriend.
Well, I mean, not only that, but like the pictures that she takes.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, dude, that reveal.
Oh my God! Right?
Holy
I'm
fucking
like,
shit!
She's
And then
taking pictures of all these dead animals
and then the
get her-
reveal of the photo that actually gets published.
Yeah.
The one of Shoya jumping in the river?
No.
What are you talking about? I missed a reveal, guys.
Yeah, you did. You missed
This
a
is
huge.
what I'm saying. Every time you fucking take notes, you just don't actually pay attention.
Dude says it doesn't have the emotional impact that
Yeah.
he was looking
What was
for.
the
but
reveal? Tell me it.
the emotional impact of the fact that Yuzu was continuously taking photos of dead
I know.
animals
I caught that. Yeah.
in order to encourage her sister to not commit suicide, hoping that if she kept seeing pictures of dead animals, it would make her want to commit suicide less.
I didn't catch that.
And then they kept talking throughout the movie about submitting the photos that they were taking to the magazine to get published.
Yeah.
The mom says like, "Oh, by the way,
I remember
like,
that
you're-
too. I remember that
well,
too.
in the end, Yuzu's sitting down and Shoya walks in and they're talking and Shoya's like, check it out, and passes a magazine. And there's a photo that's taken in the magazine and it's not of a dead animal. It's of the outline of where the pigeon had died, where there's no pigeon left, but just flowers had grown around the outline of the pigeon.
I have no memory of that.
Yeah,
I missed
Dude,
it.
it gave me fucking chills,
I
dude.
missed
It
it,
gave
man.
me chills because
Yeah,
it was the
it was-
perfect representation of how his sister had escaped that fate.
I like it.
And it lined up also with the fact that this movie uses a ton of I believe
Imagery
I believe the
and-
term is florography, which
Okay.
is communication through flowers.
That's a
Oh,
made up. That's a
interesting.
made up word though.
That's
It's a
interesting.
real thing. It's a
It's
real
not- I
study.
don't know.
It's been studied across multiple cultures for centuries. That there is very real communication done by tons of historic countries, and tons of historical context.
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
there's communication with using flowers.
Like,
Yeah.
when, like when a
Heavily in this movie.
landscaper will like spell out a company logo with flowers on the front lawn.
Dude, you know what? That's
Oh.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah?
Shut the fuck up. Ken.
But that's florography.
No, but like flowers have meanings behind them, right? Like,
Yeah.
right. And then so like if you give somebody a particular flower, like the typical rose, right?
Yeah.
A red rose on Valentine's
Yeah.
Day, right? Like that is a meaning that you are communicating to someone
Sure.
that you love them or you have an affection for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So
It's all
How-
plant, it's all plant genitals. Right?
you're doing this on purpose.
I am a little bit now. Yeah, it's fun. I'm sorry I missed that reveal. To get back on track, I can't believe I did that. Why does
Yeah.
that always happen to me?
I thought
because
it was
you're taking notes.
But also, is it fair
Yeah.
to say that it was like subtle and like we've established that like I miss subtleties a lot of the time.
No, because
No.
because there's dedicated moments of dialogue where it's not back text, it's not under people's breath. It's like what is happening in the scene is they are talking about it.
But about the submitting the photos and the taking the photos, but she never says like, "Oh, I was taking all these pictures of dead things in hopes that my
Yes,
sister would see."
Absolutely.
That's dialogue?
Yuzu
That-
says it to
that
their
is-
mother.
yeah.
Oh.
Yuzu says it to their mom.
dude, dude, this is what I'm saying, man. Look, I love you.
Yeah.
But
You're doing too much, bro.
I need you to stop taking notes and just watch the movie through once, and then maybe go back.
I don't have time to watch. You have me watching fucking 100 episodes of Dragon Ball Z this month, you son of a bitch.
Spoilers. We're doing Dragon Ball Z.
Doing Dragon Ball Z.
If it's not out already.
I think we talked about it before, but anyways. I mean, like, it's fair to say that I'm not like super attentive when I'm watching anything in my life, to be fair,
Yeah,
right?
okay, fine.
And,
No. Listen, I will give you this. They were some quick moments. They wasn't long scenes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I know that you are trying your best to take notes for good reason.
Yeah.
We're thankful you take notes sometimes.
I'm just taking the wrong ones.
It's just sometimes you miss
Yeah.
stuff, and sometimes the stuff you miss is really big stuff.
Yeah.
sure.
Like in Weathering with You, and
Yeah,
where
shut
you-
up about that. Yeah. Shut up about that. Let's talk about some things I did catch.
Okay,
Because
fine.
there were some subtleties I did catch.
Yeah.
We're still talking about characters. Let's talk about Shoko for a second.
Okay.
Their names are too similar. That's not fair.
I felt the same way actually as I was watching it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I wonder if that was intentional.
Yeah. Oh, it was at the beginning. That's a way they make them connect. They have the same nickname. Remember they mentioned that? The new girl comes to school, and
Yeah.
before he's a dick to her, they're talking.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Isn't that funny? We have the same nickname." Or someone says that to him.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm senpai. So one thing I caught about her, Shoko, is that they really tried really hard to give her facial expressions as if she can't talk, which she can't, right? So there's moments where it's on her face and it's like there's no full facial expressions, but a bunch of in between transitional ones.
But that was specifically done because the voice actor is deaf.
Yeah, no, I understand.
The English voice actor was deaf. The Japanese one was not.
Oh no, okay,
No.
That's a shame.
that's a shame.
But yeah, it was cool because it was like you were seeing the process of what normally sometimes you would say happening on her face, where like sometimes you don't land on the full sentence of what you're trying to say, and with her it was happening in her face. Sometimes you're not conveying exactly what you want to say. Do you know what I mean? And since she doesn't speak, it's all happening in her facial expressions. Thought that was kind of cool. And she, right off the bat, she's like an innocence embodied at first. You know what I mean? Like she is like the most innocent thing in the world. And she's just trying so hard with that notebook, man. She's just, all she wants is to be able to communicate. And she's like figured out a way that people can do it. And she's just like smiling at everyone, being like, right, talk to me in my notebook. Like, that's all I want. You know what I mean? Adorable.
Well, and it's so hard too, because, you know, her being deaf, like she can't get the subtleties in tone.
Yeah.
Right. In
sure.
someone's voice. Right. Like how hard is it for us to sometimes communicate over text message or
for sure.
DM,
which
right?
they
like,
do in this movie quite a bit, right?
Yeah. And like, I'm just talking in life in general. Right. And so many things are miscommunicated because of that.
And that's like one of the major themes of this movie, especially in that first, like in the origin story section, is nobody understands anybody. Like she screams it at him at one point, and he screams at her like, I don't understand you. That's what they keep saying.
Yeah.
Yuno is screaming it at her when they're in the Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When she's clapping at her really hard and she's like, hey, like, yeah, I didn't understand you, but you didn't try to understand me either. That's the whole reason why she's been a bitch to her all these years.
Yeah.
Like that's the underlying theme of this movie.
Yeah.
Speaking of Yuno, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. She's
the counterpart to Shoyu, right? Because she doesn't get the redemption. Shoya, they're all whatever. She doesn't get the redemption arc.
No, she
Do you know
does.
what I mean?
Well,
in the end, she gets
does a little
redemption,
bit.
but she doesn't have an arc to get her there.
Yes, because
just
she
bitch,
wasn't.
bitch,
yeah,
bitch.
she wasn't a prominent character, so I kind of gave her a pass a little bit there because
She was kind of prominent, dude. She wasn't like one of the main 2 or 3, but she was like
but
a solid B character.
I think the other thing though is that she was a supporting character in the fact that she was meant to be the antagonist.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
And so I think especially for our buddy,
What's his name?
I'm not even gonna fucking tell you. You guys should know by now. Shoya.
Yeah.
Shoya Ishida.
Yeah, Shoya
Shoya.
Ishida. I'm gonna say Ishida because it makes it a little bit easier.
It's different.
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different.
Right. It gave another layer of turmoil for him too. Right. Because I think there was a bit of a romantic, potential romantic.
Remember the X thing?
Yes.
There's moments where he like warms up to her and the X falls off, and then he realizes she's still a bitch, and the X comes back. So you're right. There's moments where he wants to like be nice to her and be part of her life. You know what I mean? I don't know about romance, maybe.
No, she was infatuated with him.
She was for sure. Yeah.
She had a huge crush on him.
Yeah.
That was
And then even later when they met up
huge
again.
portion of it.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that also like again when growing up as a teen or as a youth like you don't know how to communicate like hey I like you and,
of course not.
and right like you're going to do things that's
you're gonna bully together.
Weird.
You're gonna bully together.
Yeah, you're gonna bully together. You're gonna do things weird to make somebody like you, right? Or you're gonna come off weird because you want them to like you, but you're not doing it.
Yeah,
you're awkward.
Yeah,
right. You're a teenager.
100%. I did find her to be like one of the most interesting characters in the show. Like I kept wanting to figure her out. Everyone else was kind of laid out for you. She was the one who I couldn't get. I was like, why is she such a bitch? And like again, why do they keep including her?
Yeah.
And she's just a bitch all the time. I was like, I feel like they're building up to something and they didn't really. But as a counterpart to Shoya. As a counterpart to him, it made a little bit of sense.
I'm just going to edit your face because it's just going.
He's got a list of names he's looking at. He doesn't remember them
eye
either.
is twitching. No, dude, I'm sorry. I don't even need the list of names.
I know you don't. You're smart.
You guys are insane.
There's one more character worth talking about. It's
there's a lot more characters we're talking about.
There's a lot.
But also, we need to get going on this one.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, he's got a
We're in
tropey
the
best
weeds.
friend who's always like screaming and yelling and making faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's Nagatsuka.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fair.
the fucking the bulbous haired
Yeah, green hair.
fucking
Yeah.
He kind of reminds
best bro.
me. Yeah, the best bro. He reminds me later on of what's that dude from My Hero Academia?
Yes,
with the-
Barry Blue, whatever. Yes. His hair was identical.
Yeah.
I also got the same vibes, except this one's much more likable.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
He's not as pervy.
Exactly.
He was likable, but again, that trope doesn't always do it for me, and I was like annoyed by it. It's like, especially in a movie like this, it definitely is like a little jarring.
Okay.
Nobody else is like that. You know what I mean?
You know what? I think you're right. It was a trope, and his inclusion is very obviously a trope. But
Yeah.
I think they found an interesting way to make it work for the story because I think he was essential for Shoya's journey.
He was the first pivot point.
Exactly. He was the first ex that came off.
Yeah.
He was the first friend he made, and that was the window to Shoya realizing like there's hope here
Yes.
for me.
Yeah.
So narratively, I think super important character, but yeah, they delivered it as a fucking neatly packaged trope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to. You got to throw that in. It's
Sure.
anime. You
Yeah.
can't live without it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, let's get into the plot and the story of this movie. So
Okay.
it opens up with like Shoya hanging out with his two buddies, having this like lazy youth kind of scenario,
Yeah.
which we've all experienced a summer of that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You and your one or two buddies just kind of like lingering around and doing
Yeah.
odd things all over the place.
Jumping into rivers.
Yeah, random shot, but
Yeah.
but the soundtrack is My Generation by The Who.
So random.
Like out of nowhere. And this is not the dub. This is this original release
Yeah.
sub, right? Like
right.
Yeah. I was
anyways.
wondering if you're going to mention that.
How do you not mention that? It's very out of place.
It's super jarring.
Yeah. But what's weird is it's the very beginning of the movie, so it's making me think like, okay, they're gonna have like popular music through this movie. Nope.
Nope.
Just once.
Just then.
Yeah, just once.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyways, they have this lazy life, and then this deaf girl shows up at school, and there's like a handful of like light-ish scenes of her around school, like, you know, with the notebook, you know, talking to people. And there's like some really like real scenes that are still light, like her singing in the choir was like kind of funny. And I was like, oh, okay, they're not shying away from the fact that like there's going to be awkward moments and they're not all awful and bullying.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're just like kind of awkward and can be fun and
Some of
funny.
them are endearing.
Yeah, they're very
That's the right
endearing.
word. Yeah. I enjoyed that. And then, yeah, there's the notebook, right? And at first everyone's kind of into it, right? And everyone's like using it. Even the people you find out later are like super bitches and dicks. They're like kind of into it and doing it. And then they start like, it's like they're getting tired of it, or like I think they're getting tired of her and how it's like such a struggle, and they start being mean to her. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think that's the other thing, right? Like they've started finding it tedious,
Yeah.
right?
For sure. And at first it was like novel, and then it starts like, and then you don't understand it. So you never understood it.
Yeah.
And at first it's novel, and then once it stops being novel, you're like, oh, it's just confusing, and I don't know how to deal
Well,
with this
all
anymore.
it takes is one or two minor communication breakdowns, and
Yeah.
it starts to feel like a chore.
For sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just a few.
So yeah, mainly Uno and Shoya start being fucking assholes to her, like really, like it ramps up real quick, right? They're like stealing and ruining her hearing aids. He draws blood, which is a huge moment that he calls back to a bunch of times. At one point, there's a scene where he's just soaking her with a hose. He's just spraying a hose on her.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like what? That's really rude.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
even connected to her deafness. It's just like, I'm just gonna soak you with a hose.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're
Really
standing there, so I'm just gonna pour water on you.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So then he tosses the notebook in the pond, and then suddenly he's in the pond.
Yeah.
His buddy tossed him in.
Yep.
Because there's only so much you can hang out and like be cool with someone being an asshole like that before you probably want to be an asshole to them.
Yep.
Yeah, right? You're gonna disconnect yourself from everyone around you. So he goes home, and his mom is like, "What the fuck happened? The school called or something, or someone's mom called."
Oh, dude, the scene where like the mom gets slapped and like takes out the money, and
Yeah.
then he sees his mom with the earring ripped out.
Yeah. Did she have an hearing piece as well?
No. So it was the whole idea was like because Ishida like pulled out the hearing piece.
Yeah.
And the one time she bled.
Yeah.
Right. Like the other Shoya's mom.
Yeah. Went to go apologize.
Yeah. To go apologize, and
Yeah.
then Shoka's mom.
Shoko.
Yeah.
Shoko's mom.
Yeah. Slapped her.
Slapped her, but also I think it's assumed that she ripped out the mom's earring as another like
Interesting.
piece of like, here, this is how it feels.
Really?
Right?
Oh wow, I didn't get that.
See, I
That's
actually
fucking
think
heavy.
I actually
Holy
feel
shit.
like maybe I'm completely wrong
Yeah.
about this, but I actually feel like when he was home with his mom,
Yeah.
there was a quick flash of a close up on her face, and it looked like she was wearing a hearing aid.
No.
No. So like, why else would you see so clearly Ishida's mom.
She was definitely bleeding, and it definitely seemed like it was like this is an eye for an eye situation, or an ear for an ear, if you will.
My I don't know.
Bad,
my interpretation could be way off, but my interpretation was that she was potentially a sex worker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't get that either.
I didn't get the sex
interpretation was
because she was doing everything she could to make ends meet. They went out of their way to make her desperation seem real. And an earring being ripped out, says that she's obviously been subjected to some level of violence somehow.
Yeah.
So that's how I put it together. Because
Interesting.
Because the interaction with Shoko's mom was just the slap.
No. So here's the thing. Ishida's mom. There's a scene at the beginning of the movie where you actually see Ishida and Shoka interact at the barber shop or the hair salon. There's a moment because they pass each other. There's also that one random moment where you just see the black guy, and then you don't see him until the end.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Bro,
I know.
Okay,
I know what you're talking about.
I need you guys to comment below.
The black guy was her daughter's
this.
boyfriend, though.
Yes, but you see, there's a moment where they're going through the montage of like what it's like in summer, and you see the black guy in there.
But like, where does the earring getting ripped out come in?
So that's when Ishida's mom goes and apologizes with the money to replace the hearing pieces.
Well, why wouldn't they show her ripping the earring out?
That's the thing, right? They didn't show that, but
they want to confuse the fuck out of us.
Oh man,
none of us know what happened. None of us know.
It was. I saw it. It felt implied that that's what happened because they have a still of her with her ear bleeding.
I did see that still. I just didn't understand why it was bleeding.
Okay, well, that was my interpretation.
We all have different interpretations.
And I think that's what it was.
We'll go with yours. Mine can't be trusted. We've established that.
Because why else would it be one ear that's bleeding?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right? Like, well, what else could it be?
You're right. I don't know.
Okay.
Could have been Jay's thing.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't see the sex
I'm
work
just saying it wasn't
as
clear as you're saying it was.
Yeah.
It was very ambiguous of what happened there.
Okay.
She just went in, apologized, got a slap, came out, was bleeding. That's all they give you. Right? Mm-hmm. Anyways,
I mean, I guess the only other interpretation I could think of is that the slap was so hard that it made her bleed.
Yeah.
But
what if the woman, the other mom, didn't accept her apology and she's like, okay, fine, for honor's sake, I'll rip my own earring out then, so that.
Okay, no, I'm reading online. Yeah. I had to settle this because it should be an obvious fucking answer.
It's not.
And apparently the slap was just that hard.
Fuck off.
The slap was just that hard,
The slap was just that hard.
She clapped her so hard she burst the eardrum. And now she does need hearing aids.
Yeah. So I just read into it too much then.
Yeah, so did
But
Jay.
you were
Jay's
basically right.
Jay's like, she's a prostitute.
The mom did
Yeah.
it. The mom did it. But
Yeah.
no, that takes out the extent to which Shoya's mother was trying to make money out of my head. But
yeah.
I didn't read too much into it. It was just kind of a back of my head thing. I'm like, wow, she's really hard on her luck.
I guess for me it's just like when you put blood on someone's ear like that,
it did seem very specific,
right? Yeah, it just very, very specific,
especially in correlation with the fact that that's what happened to her daughter.
Yeah,
right. It does seem like a one-to-one connection.
That's what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we're out of the weeds.
We're good.
Moving on.
Okay,
well,
so
we've never gotten the weeds so hard like that.
Was really bad.
We have. We have.
Don't lose the momentum. Keep going.
Let's go.
So we're back in school, and Shoya and Shoko get in this weird emotionally charged fight in the classroom.
Yes.
Which was a really intense scene because at first it's just she's like, I'm writing my notebook, and he's like, you're so weird, I don't understand you at all.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they're hitting each other and wrestling to the ground, and she screams at him, I'm doing the best I can, and that's the last you see of her in the origin story.
Yeah.
Because
heartbreaking.
She she was pushed to her breaking point, to the point where you didn't even see her break once before then. She kept it all in, kept it all in, exploded on him.
Yep.
And that's when you get the teacher being a dick and calling him out after all that time of being quiet about it. Mm-hmm. But we don't need to talk about that because we already did. So now we're all grown up.
Yep.
And Shoya is at a sign language class, weirdly. And I'm confused because they jumped and they didn't fill you in. They do fill you in. But at that moment, I was like, oh, I guess like it makes sense. He's trying to like make up for the wrongs he did. And then he sees her there. I was like, oh, that's strange. It just happens to be the same class she's in. And then he like goes and talks to her and he happens to have the notebook. I was like, that's strange. He's just carrying the notebook around with him. He doesn't even have a backpack. He's just carried around with him everywhere. Then you find out the reason he was there with the notebook is because he knew she was going to be there. He was trying to make amends, and then he was going to commit suicide.
Tying up those loose ends.
Right?
Tying up the loose ends.
But I guess like the conversation went kind of sweetly. Like she was nice, and it like changed his mind, I guess, because then he goes home and his mom calls him out because he had sold all his stuff and given her a bunch of money. He's like, and like crossed out all the dates and ripped dates off his calendar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, she caught him. So
After this point, there are no more days for me. And she's like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, you got me. You got me. And then she actually accidentally burns the money, which is fucking hilarious.
She cooks it, actually.
Yeah.
But like,
So
it's
ridiculous.
just like so subtly too, right? Like calls him out. Like,
Yeah.
so why are you going to go kill yourself? It's like, well, what's this? I'm like,
Yeah. And then she gives him
fucking
shit about it.
yeah.
And then after that, she snaps back out of it, which is like kind of a good mom move, I guess, to like, you can't stay in that anger place. Like you can't not show the anger, but you can't stay in that place or you're not going to accomplish anything.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was like, I don't know. She's a real strong person to be able to like unleash and then pull back and be like, okay, well, like let's figure out how we're going to get past this. You know what I mean? So then he's back at school and now he's in high school.
Yep.
And this is where you first see X's all over everyone's face.
Yeah.
This was a bit of a janky mechanism for me.
I agree.
Yeah. That's
I
like,
didn't love
have
it.
a weird I have a weird feeling with it because it's just that was the only time I felt it was way too heavy handed because it was so literally put in your face.
Yeah.
And I also
Right?
couldn't quite figure out what it was supposed to mean. Like I know he has low self-esteem and I was like, are these just people he doesn't consider people he feels like he can talk to? You know what I mean?
Yes,
Are they
he's forcefully obscuring people's faces.
Yeah.
So that he doesn't connect with them. So that
Sure.
he doesn't allow himself to connect with anybody. The way I think they should have portrayed it is, you know, a black hole or maybe something distorted
I
or
would say
scribbled or
just-
abstract on
Yeah.
the face. Something that says like I'm
or out of focus.
black and white.
and he's
or
doing that in
something.
his brain on purpose
Yeah.
to keep himself from connecting with people, to keep himself down.
It was again. It was very like jarring, heavy-handed, and like janky. The way they were like falling off and coming back on and falling off and coming back on. I couldn't quite figure out what was happening. Right?
Yeah, I think there would have been a better artistic way of doing that would have represented it. It's just the X was just so childish in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right. It was definitely like it was a too obvious way.
Yeah, but at the same time too,
Not subtle.
Ishida is a child, right? So
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
He's like stunted growth, and at this point, he's in high school and like, you know, has no social skills.
absolutely.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll probably get back in that later because the X's pop up continuously. So he's obsessed with finding Shoko again now.
Yeah.
Now that's all he cares about, right? And he keeps doing for a little while. There's this like good sign, bad sign thing, right? Like he goes and meets his new friend who's like pretty much getting his bike stolen. He's like, go take mine. And then he's all upset. He's like, I lost my bike. That's probably a bad sign. And then this like coupon for free bread goes across the road. And he's like, hey, free bread. That's a good sign. Because she feeds the koi fish, right? So yeah. And then like does he go? Yeah, he goes with her with the bread. They have another cute interaction. Then he gets home and his buddy shows back up with his bike.
Yep.
And now that kid's sticker peels off. You know what I mean? Which was like, again, the sticker peels off, but he had already had an interaction with this kid. He had already decided to talk to the kid. Why is the sticker peeling off now? A little janky.
It was a moment where he realized that I'm going to allow myself to connect with this human being.
Sure.
And I'm
then,
going to do that through allowing myself to take in their face and to look them in the eyes.
Sure.
That's such a huge thing with connecting with people, is being willing to make eye contact with people. And you can always tell somebody when they've been bullied or when they've been put down, because they will not make eye contact with you. It's like a defensive posture thing.
It's
right?
it's a protective thing, right? Like it's
so I guess instead of always showing his eyes averting or always looking down, which they did plenty of, they also threw the X's in there to further deliver that.
Yeah.
Again, heavy-handed movie across the board.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and that's the thing, is because then he does connect with this guy. They go out on like a lunch date or whatever at the mall, and then he allows himself to have a little bit of fun. They're giggling, and it's funny because he just doesn't know what a friend is. They have a little conversation. He's like, I don't know what that is. And he's like, oh, it's this.
Yes,
you
we
mean,
know
when,
what
you
we're
mean
doing.
when he's smoking the French
Yeah,
fry?
the French fry. Dude, I loved that scene. Oh my god! I was
Yeah.
like, yes, get it.
Yeah.
His yeah show.
Yeah. So funny, man. Okay, so then he goes back to sign language class to try and get another meeting because it's all he's thinking about.
Yep.
And he gets blocked by her boyfriend. and she says something really interesting there. As she's yelling at him, she's like, "If you're just here to satisfy yourself, please leave."
Yep.
And that struck me because I was like, that's what people do.
Yep.
When they're looking for redemption, when they're trying to make amends, it's not about anybody but yourself.
It's a huge theme in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is like, is this for him? Is this for her?
Yeah.
And in the end,
is
like,
this for friends?
in the end, like, does this not actually make her situation worse? Like, did he really consider if this was the right thing for her?
Well, and it clearly did make her situation worse for a little bit.
In a lot of ways.
Then turned around in the very end.
Very, very
Because
end, but
they
had
have
to go
to give you a
through
happy
hell.
ending. Yeah.
Yeah. They had to go through hell.
But
and then
it was tumultuous like all the way through. They had up and downs. Like I mean, there's that point where like Shoko is saying, you know, she loves him and
yeah, she tries to.
she tries to
Yeah.
anyway, right? So like
Yeah.
like you can see like how much she really appreciates
Their
it.
relationship
This-
is massive turbulence, top to bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
In the way that it's portrayed and in the way they feel, it seems, to
Yeah.
each other, right? Anyways, she's trying to block him, and then his buddy steps in and is like, "Hey, Les, you can't stop. Let her get in there." And he like ends up like succeeding, and they have another like cute little meeting. And in this scene, the notebook goes back in the water, and this time Shoko goes in after it, and then Shoya goes in after her, and who snaps a picture?
Yuzu.
Her boyfriend. And it gets published on the internet, and he gets suspended because I guess jumping in that specific river is illegal.
Yeah.
Which probably is a thing in Japan more so than here.
Yes. I mean, it's very frowned upon here.
To jump in rivers?
Yeah, I mean, random creeks and rivers that like.
Maybe. I'm not getting suspended from school because they found out I jumped in a river on the weekend.
That's also true.
Yeah,
Fair
you know
enough.
what I mean? Okay, so then let's jump ahead to another cool scene where he finds her boyfriend sleeping in the playground.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And like, it's funny because he's been treated like a dick by this boyfriend, and he's still like, "Oh, well, come on over to my house.
Yeah.
You know, we'll have dinner." Stays over for the night, and you can tell that the boyfriend is troubled. Something's going on. Like he is feeling very, very emotional, and then like goes to sleep, and then wakes up and leaves. And Shoya follows him out in the rain and finds out it's not a he, it's a she, and it's a sister all along. And I guess he like ran away because I guess his sister found out she posted the picture, and that was the reason why a kid got suspended, and she was pissed off at him.
Yeah.
Her, rather.
But see, I don't think we should gloss over that too much because it was a huge connecting point for those two characters because he gave her his old shoes from when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And there's that whole scene with the umbrella where
Yeah, and he's like,
holding-
no, you hold it.
Yeah, right. And so like in that light,
Yeah.
Ishida saw himself.
Interesting. Yeah, I
Right?
didn't think about that. And they also needed to connect. That's a good point you said there because like that the sister is the connection of him and Shoko, right? Like that's the connecting point for the most part of this movie, right?
He needed that to get closer with her in the end. Yeah.
She's spinning the wheels a lot of this time because there's a communication failure between the two of them, obviously. And so in a lot of ways, she's spinning the wheels, right? They collaborate with her and she relays messages back and forth.
But it also nicely correlates to the point you were making before about his intentions, if they're just to satisfy himself, because Yuzu gets clarification on that in that moment when they're holding the umbrellas between them. And Shoya has an opportunity to actually state his true intentions and how he just doesn't want to make her cry anymore.
Yeah.
And you start to see like, oh no, he's not doing this for him.
Yeah.
This is killing him.
Yeah.
Every day this is tearing him apart. He is doing it for her.
Yeah.
And he does care about her. And that's not just big for them, but that's big, I think, as an audience member in your relationship with Shoya as well. That's you got to know that about him to like him.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
And not be questioning his motives.
Yeah.
Because he's such a shit when he was a kid.
Yeah. A piece of shit. Used to be a piece of shit.
Used to
People
be.
can change.
Used to be.
Hair slicked back.
Yeah. Sloppy steaks or tronies.
Slop steaks.
Okay, so
Water steaks?
Shoko's sister again, like makes some like swift moves and ends up like getting them to take a train trip together. And so they go on a train because Shoko wants to go visit the girl who like showed her around school when they first came to school. Sahara, that's right. So they take that trip, they go and they find that old friend, and the interaction is hilarious. It's classic anime.
Yeah.
She's like, I wonder how big your chest is now. I guess I'll find out myself. Of course it's about grabbing boobs. And then they happen to run into Uno while they're out there, and she's handing out like flyers for where she works at a cat cafe, which I was like, oh, cute cat cafes. They're real in real life.
Yeah.
And then
I actually thought the first time I watched that,
sex worker.
No. It was going to be like a maid cafe, but
Same,
like,
yeah.
it was going to, but they were just
Neko girls.
Neko girls.
I thought she was up to no good, to be honest with you. I thought she had gone down because she was a bitch too.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, he went this way, she went that way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way I saw it. Not the case. It was just a cute cat cafe.
Cute cat. Yeah. Cute cat.
Yeah.
Neko.
So what's that?
Neko.
Whatever that means.
Cat. It's cat in Japanese.
Yeah. Anyways, they run into Uno, and she's still a bitch.
Yep.
And at this point, I'm like, okay, well, I guess not everyone can change, and that's what they're trying to tell me. And then, okay, so there's another scene where she tries to say, I love you. That's the next thing we should talk about. So this is another situation where the sister tricks him into coming to meet her. This is constantly happening, right? So they meet up, and she tries to say, I love you, and he just doesn't understand.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, well, see you later, and rides off.
Moon?
Hey,
Yeah.
Moon? Yeah.
Moon?
And then she gives him that gift, and he's like, what are these?
Yeah.
He like, can't figure it out.
It's so annoying because like he's like she said ski, which like
Yeah.
which means moon, right? But like love is like I love you would be like
Daisuke.
Daisuke, like
Daisuke.
or Daisuke Terio, like it's like it's there, it's right there.
yeah.
But
Use your
he's-
fucking head.
But he's not looking for that at that point.
Yeah,
his
he
brain
can't
is
even fathom it.
overwhelmed with
Yeah.
other shit. Yeah.
Yeah, like he can't even think,
Yeah.
like, how does this girl love me after
Yeah.
the shit I've done to her?
Yeah.
He's so far
Right.
from feeling like he deserves redemption that to be at the end
Yeah.
of that, where like at an I love you point is just not in.
like he's not deserving of love.
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, Shoya's now like on a mission to make things right. Like exes are falling off left and right now at this point. They all go to amusement park, like the whole crew. There's like a new friend as well too, like a redhead kid.
Yep.
And they go on a roller coaster, and Sahara says something interesting on the roller coaster. She has this little idiom she says where she's like, oh, I used to be scared, but then I figured I'll decide if I like it after I ride it. But it's still scary. And I'm like, that's life. It's always scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything's going to be scary, but you can't decide you don't like something based on it being scary.
Yeah,
and
you
like,
can't let fear rule you, right?
100%.
Like,
You still got to do it.
Yeah.
And then you might decide you like it even though it's scary.
but that's the thing, right? I think fear, to a degree, like in a very big degree, is that it's just the unknown, right?
Yeah.
Right? As soon as you know what it is, you're not afraid of it anymore.
Totally.
Right? That's like...
Or you know you definitely are.
Yeah, you
Just
definitely
stay
know
away.
you are, yeah. And you
But,
didn't like
but
it.
now you know.
But now, and knowing is half the battle.
That's right.
G.I. Joe.
Hey kids, I'm a computer. Stop all the downloading.
Do download us though.
Yeah, do
Our
download
podcast.
it. Yeah,
Please.
do it, yeah.
We are a computer.
Yeah, you can download our MP3s and upload them to Napster.
Yeah, hold on. I
If you
think I just
choose.
aged myself with that meme.
Yep. I said Napster. Okay, so next, Uno pulls some shit because she's a fucking bitch, dude.
Yeah.
She takes Shoya to see the other old friend.
Other
the
old
bully
friend,
dude.
yes.
And Shoya's like rattled.
Yeah.
Because he's like, this is not the path I'm on. I'm dealing with this other shit.
Yeah.
I haven't even thought about that shit. And
Yeah,
it
like,
shocks
don't
him.
mess with us.
He's shook,
Yeah.
right? Then she pulls some shit and takes Shoko on the Ferris wheel, which is a crazy scene because out of nowhere, she just starts raging on her, dude. And I mentioned this earlier. She's like, yeah, I didn't understand you, but you never tries to understand me either. And then she beats her up
Yeah.
on the Ferris wheel.
But dude, how good was it that fucking boyfriend, sister,
Don't say that
Yuzu.
back to back.
Yuzu. Yeah, Yuzu.
Yeah.
Fucking Yuzu was just like smart enough to give her the fucking camera
know.
and let it record.
I know, that was really
Like,
smart.
oh man.
And what they caught is Shoko saying, I hate myself,
Yeah.
which was a big moment. And then like a little bit later that you find it's a parallel because Shoya still hates himself too.
Yeah.
And this is where you find out that they're more parallel than you thought. You know what I mean? They're both trying to internalize and trying to find redemption for themselves. And then Shoya rages on everybody. They end up on the bridge, that bridge scene, and he just loses it, and he starts like rifling off insults and being a dick and like kind of truths, but in a way that like you shouldn't say that to people, right?
Yeah. He pushes everybody away, and
100%.
And
he goes back to the way he was before. X's on everybody.
yeah.
And it sends a big message to Shoko as well at that moment that she gets a front row seat to all of this chaos that her existence has created.
Yeah.
She sees the way that her existence has affected all of these different friendships and relationships in all these many ways. It all centers around her. And she gets a front row seat to that.
Yeah.
And then she gets a front row seat to watching the guy she loves also have all of his friendships be destroyed because of her.
Yeah.
The guilt just keeps layering on this girl,
Yeah.
layering on this girl.
And it's all projecting because in reality, it's all his fault.
Yeah.
He did all of this.
So much transference that's happening from him.
Yes.
For sure.
Right. And not to mention like I think that was the catalyst, right? For Shoka to show fucking
Shoko to do what she does, which we're going to talk about in a second.
Yeah, we're almost there. Okay, so the next thing that happens is Granny dies.
Yeah.
Right, which is like kind of an emotional part, and you get a lot of it's like pre-catharsis. You get a lot of like emotional outpouring before like the emotional outpouring. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I feel like they were like setting you up. They're like, okay, let's wet their palate a little bit so that they're ready for this. Because
Get their eyes glistening.
yeah, a little bit, yeah. And there was a weird couple of scenes after that where like obviously like Shoya has no friends now.
Yep.
But he's still friends with Shoko and her sister, and he's hanging out with them, and they like have this awkward mom's birthday party, and she's still really pissed at him and like not stoked that he's around.
But I like that.
Yeah, of course,
It was a
absolutely.
good
And that's a
scene.
note I have right here too, because I'm like, if this was my kid and my kid's bully was now coming to my house, I would probably be worse than she was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's such a good way, even for parents.
Yeah.
Right? To work through some of those emotions.
For
that,
sure.
Like, and to see the kids that were bullies, not as bullies, but as misunderstood kids.
But she doesn't have that feeling. She fucking hates this kid, it seems
No, but
like.
that's what I'm saying, though.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Is that them working it through like that and having to and being forced to sit.
Yeah.
Right. And seeing how he actually has turned out.
That's true. Because it's not like she says like that boy's not allowed in my house. They still end up hanging out. They still go to the festival together.
Yeah.
So even though she's rattled and hates him, she's still like, okay, well, like they're kids and I will give them a chance to try to do better.
Yeah.
I'm inferring a lot on how she's feeling. They don't give you that, but you're right. That's like how it should work out.
Well, then
You
that's
hope,
the
right?
thing,
Yeah.
right? Like, so it's so much like it's hard with a lot of parents because you don't want to blame the parents by any means, but then
Right.
people just kind of get these images of certain people and then they make them into absolutes and anything outside of that image, they can't fathom.
Well,
right?
speaking as a parent, what's hard is that like you're the adult.
Yeah.
And so as much as you don't want to blame the parents, you still they have a lot of responsibility to do the adult thing because someone has to.
Yes.
And it's you. But it can be really fucking hard, man. You know what I mean? Like next to impossible. And when you can't do it, again, not to be blamed, but also like you failed. You know what I mean? Like you're the adult. You have to be the adult, whether you can or can't.
But here's okay, we're getting a little philosophical here, but like the thing about being an adult too, did you what I just think you did?
What did I do?
Did you fart?
No. This chair.
Yeah, okay. Okay. That totally derailed me.
Sorry. Do you want to get back into it or do you want to move on? You had a point, but I farted it out of your brain.
Let's move on.
Okay. Because we're at the really good part. So they go to the festival. And they have this cute little interaction, and he like says the word together, and then freaks out because he says the word together.
Yeah,
which was kind of cute. And then she leaves early. She's like, "I got to go study." And me being a simpleton, I was like, "Innocent enough." Mm-hmm. And then you find out she fucking left to commit suicide. He pieces it together, basically, right?
That caught you off guard, eh?
Yeah, I'm an idiot. I'm a dumb human being. Why you knew right away?
Yeah.
She's all dressed up. There's fireworks again, which mirrors his first attempt where there was fireworks going off.
You catch so much shit, dude. I
And-
love
and-
it.
and-
I
and-
need
and-
you to catch it.
And the fireworks, the symbolism behind the fireworks is actually it's their transience. It's their the fact that they are fleeting, the fact that as soon as they exist, they burn brightly and then are gone. And there's a lot of symbolism in that with our characters, right?
Your name too. Same thing. Festival and
Yeah,
fireworks right before
fireworks,
she dies.
Yeah.
This is why we need Jay. Because I
Yeah.
miss all
Jason-
of this stuff.
Yeah, Jason Pie.
Yeah.
Jason
I'm trying.
He's so observant. I'm impressed. I'm really impressed by your observant nature. Okay, so she left to commit suicide. He pieces it together and runs to go and help her. He runs into the apartment and she's standing on
Well,
the
no,
ledge.
he doesn't piece it together. He goes
To get the camera.
To get the camera.
Oh, right.
And then he sees it all happening.
Right,
It was
right,
all
right.
by happenstance,
Yeah.
right? And then he's just like, "What? No!"
Yeah, and this scene was crazy because he runs and trips over the table. And in my head, I'm like, she's toast. Like, this is the end of that. This is how this story ends. And immediately I was like fucked up for a second. And then immediately I'm not fucked up because he got her, but barely. And then this is the note I sent to Jay. It's just no across the whole fucking page, dude. Because he slips and falls off the balcony.
Yeah.
And then my notes were funny too, but I was like, but wait, in the water? And then I'm like, nah, but he's bleeding. Why is he bleeding from falling in water? There's a lot of roller coaster shit happening in my head.
Yeah.
Why is he bleeding and so injured? He fell in the water. From not that high, it looked like.
From multiple stories up
Yeah.
into a shallow river where
Yeah.
he obviously hit his head.
It didn't look
Yeah.
like that. And the
You
blood was
didn't
coming
see
from like his
didn't
side.
see him fall.
First of all,
The blood came from the darkness near his head.
Yeah.
Hold on. The blood came from his head, from like the darkness near his head, if you
Yeah.
actually watch the way that it's flowing.
Okay.
And then literally the following scene, you find out that he's in a coma.
Yeah. I knew that.
So
Yeah.
generally, massive head trauma like that,
Yeah.
coma.
Sure.
Falling in a fluffy water from
Yeah.
not that high,
Yeah.
not coma probably,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Good point.
but the other thing though, depending on the height,
Yeah.
like if you hit water, it can feel like concrete depending on how you hit it.
I guess that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
anyway.
Sorry.
it's okay. No,
It's okay.
That was a fucking roller coaster of a scene,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. Like, it was fucking me up. Like, bam, 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 bam,
Yeah,
bam. You know what I
and
mean? A bunch of them in a row.
And then
Flip,
you find
flop,
out
flip, flop,
later
flip,
that
flop.
it was his fucking other two buddies that he used to be friends with is the ones that pulled him out of the water.
Oh, I missed that too.
Oh my god! Oh, dude, are you kidding me?
Is that a big deal though? Like,
Yes.
Okay.
Are you kidding? Like for
All
the
right.
development of even their friendship, for him to know that, like, hey, his friends that bullied him back because he was a bully,
Yeah.
still cared enough about him to see.
but
and
to me, that's just like a human being would pull a human being out of the water.
the more important part of that reveal is the fact that it's Ueno that tells him.
yeah,
Not so
Okay.
much that it was his buddies that pulled him out. It's the fact that they didn't want him to know that it was that it was them
Because they
But-
still hate him?
no, but because like they didn't want. They probably because they didn't want to like take any credit for like being lifesavers or being heroes or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, yeah.
And they probably don't want a relationship with him, right? But
Yeah.
it was a point that Ueno was wanting to tell him that anyways because
Okay.
she knew that would make him feel maybe a little bit better. It was
right.
kind of a redeeming moment for Ueno to tell him
Okay.
something kind of sweet about what happened.
Well, I guess
I
she
thought.
got one.
Well, that's the thing. It was the
Yeah.
one redeeming scene of
Yeah.
the whole movie is like her last one,
For
and
her,
that's
you
and
mean.
that's
Yeah.
when and that's
Yeah.
when she tells him that.
Yeah.
By the
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
it was what's his face that pulled you
Yeah.
out.
All right. Let's blast through the ending here. So he's in the hospital and everyone's crying and some people are blaming themselves and they're all just kind of like having a fucking time. There,
Yeah.
Right. And then Shoko decides to like quote unquote like put the band back together. She has this scene, this like montage scene where she
Yeah.
runs from one person to the next
Yeah.
and tells them what's going on. Make sure everyone knows what went down. And then when Shoya wakes up, he like escapes the hospital.
Yeah.
Meets Shoko on the bridge, and they
Yeah.
have this like massive catharsis. It's like a laugh cry, all the emotions like pouring
Yeah.
out all at once.
I did all the emotions with them.
Yeah, did you?
It was a very emotional morning for me.
Yeah, I spent all my emotions when he fell off the bridge.
Okay.
That was it for me. I was
Yeah.
done. I was like, and yeah, he explains and finally like actually apologizes, which is again a thing that they were alluding to towards the end of this movie, that he never apologized.
Not straight up.
No, exactly. He tried to make amends, but he didn't straight up say, I'm sorry for being that way, or try to explain why he was that way. Even though he didn't have a good explanation, he never even tried. You know what I mean? And this time he does. And then she apologizes for her suicide attempt. She's like, I'm sorry that I did that to you. Yeah, and then they guess just have this whole spectrum of feels, and it's like, hunky-dory between them, it seems.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. So he gets home and he goes and visits his like family first right away, and then he goes back to school with the whole crew, and everyone's exes again all over the place. And this, you mentioned earlier, the looking down perspective thing. He's now back, and he's like, not only are there exes, but he also just now committed suicide or tried to, or whatever, and everyone knows, or like, I guess they think he might have committed suicide. I don't know what happened.
There's
But
people whispering in the hallways, like, that's the guy that jumped.
Yeah, right. They
Yeah.
don't know exactly what happened.
even if they're saying
rumors
that's the guy that tried to save her and then he fell, that's still embarrassing and like a big deal. You know what I mean? And that's actually a throw. I'm sure you caught this because you fucking catch everything. I catch some things. But at the very beginning, when Shoko shows up at the school, they only show her from the nose down for the first couple scenes of her being there. He can't look her in the eye at the beginning.
Yeah.
And now it's the same case, right?
Did you? Okay, I don't know if you caught this. It's more of a theory.
I can guarantee you I didn't.
This is more of a theory for me.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the movie, there's this really small, like fuzzy white, like light with two people moving in it. And at the end of the movie, like
Yeah.
closer to the end when Ishida waking up,
Yeah.
you see that same thing. And so I figure that it's actually his two old buddies pulling him out while he was kind of coming out of unconsciousness.
Could be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know
maybe.
what,
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I think I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
That'd
yeah.
be cool.
Yeah.
Because you're going to assume it's
theory.
the two of them. Because if you've seen the posters or the trailers and you're coming to see this movie, you know it's a romance about two people. But then when you get that reveal, that might be a cool reveal, cool turnaround.
Yeah, but it's so obscure though.
Yeah.
Right? And it was like, I'm surprised that I even noticed it because.
Well, you made it up.
Jesus.
Well, I'm just saying, dude, you made up the theory. They didn't give it to you.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Mikey's gonna throw hands.
That's fair. It is a theory.
It's not something you
but
caught. It's
yeah,
something you invented.
No, it is a theory,
Yeah.
but I did catch the two identical scenes.
Sure, you made a connection.
Based on
Yeah.
something real.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
Shweebs, help me.
Well done, Mikey.
Shweebs,
You did a very good job.
Just help.
You did a very good
Moving
job.
on.
in the comments.
Okay,
just help.
so we're at the school. He meets back up with his friends. They're all telling him it's going to be fine. Uno's there. She's still somehow a bitch, even though she's kind of nice for some reason. And again, I don't think she deserves the redemption she gets. I don't think any of them should want her around at this point still, but they do for some reason. And then for like literally no reason at all, he looks up and all the exes fall away.
Yeah, it was a
It was
realization.
no reason at all.
It
Yeah.
was very sudden.
No, it was it was the first time that he actually felt that absolution, that redemption, that he could breathe. He looked around himself and
Yeah.
saw all of his friends having a good time. His
understand.
family loved him.
Yeah.
Everything was copacetic for the first time in his entire fucking life.
Yeah.
And at that moment, he said, in his brain, I can look people in the eyes now. I can open myself up to the rest of the world for the first time ever.
I'm just saying that in a real life, they're not all. That's not going to happen in the switch.
I think people make
flip of
big
the switch.
realizations like that
Yes.
all the time, dude.
I feel
Absolutely.
like. I feel like. It's
Anytime
safe
you
to say,
realize something, it's always going to be a moment.
no, it is, but that doesn't mean you don't have a lot of work to do. The realization
The
is
whole first
is
part
real.
of the movie was the
Yeah.
work he did.
He's still
You
got a
watched
lot
him
of
do
work to do.
You watched him do all of the work, dude.
Dude, I think you
Yeah.
need to do some work.
Dude,
I'm aware of that, dude.
Dude,
but
there
that's
is
why
not-
that's why I'm saying this is because I know from things that I've struggled with,
Yeah.
and you have the realization.
Yes.
After you've been working on it for a very long time, and you're like, oh, that's how I change that. But that doesn't change it. That's just
No.
realizing how you have to change it,
but
and then you have to
he
go and
did
do
the
it.
work.
Yeah,
he
he-
did the work. Tell me if there's one single loose end that he didn't tie up. Is there anything that is still lingering?
But I'm not
that
talking
might
about-
that might disrupt this
Yeah.
peace that he has found in himself. Everything is good. There is nobody in the dark. Everybody knows everything. Everything's out in the open. Everything's been apologized for. He has nothing. He has no more work to do. All he has left to do is to realize that the work is done.
I'm just saying when it comes to social anxiety, it's not just realization, it's practice. And he only had practice with a couple of people.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
I will agree with you there because it is like even after realizing something, you still have to continue some of the work, especially with other social situations.
that's what I'm saying.
But for him, it was an encapsulation of having that weight off of your shoulders and
Sure.
being like, okay,
Yeah.
I can still continue. I am worth it.
I'll agree that definitely that realization of all his friends having a good time and everything's everyone's happy for once. Finally, yes, there's a weight off his shoulders. I'll agree with that.
All of the weight. It's this whole world.
But he still has to come to grips with and like go forward after experiencing what he just experienced.
Yeah, but
You know what I mean?
you're speaking as somebody in their 30s who knows that this is a lifelong journey and that this is something that has up and downs, and who knows, he probably has up and downs to come in his life as well.
Yeah.
Not saying he's completely out of the trees, not saying the exes might not pop up again.
That's what I was just about to say.
Up until that point in his life, he only knows the people that we've seen him interact with in the movie.
Sure.
That's his whole world.
Sure.
He doesn't know anything outside of that, and everybody that he knows is good.
I
They
guess
all love him. He's happy. His whole world is right at that moment.
Yeah.
But of course it is. He's 16, 17 years old.
Yeah.
How big can his world be?
Shoko's mom probably still hates his guts though. Maybe more so now.
I don't know about
but
that.
either
Dude,
way,
she tried to kill
there's
herself
the
because of him
cathar-
since then.
No, but there's synergy now, even with between the parents.
She
there?
apologizes.
You're making it up.
She apologizes to him.
Yeah.
He walks into the hair salon and his mom is cutting her hair.
Yeah.
And she leans over and she's just like, "Hey, by the way, like, I'm really sorry."
That's the second time you see the black guy.
Another
You and the black guy.
Another scene that Jordy missed.
You know who you
probably.
don't see though? You don't see his sister ever.
And that's
Ever.
that was I always thought that was so weird. I'm like, what does this fucking sister look like? I want to know.
And what does it mean? Why aren't they showing it to you?
Yes.
Either way, that moment when he realizes that and the exes drop.
I thought I pulled you away
It's nope. I'm sorry. It's hugely impactful. It's catharsis for him,
Yeah.
and it's actually the first time that he can really start living his life.
And I agree.
For him, for the first time since we've seen him.
I agree. My only point is that the next day he's going to go back to school and go to talk to someone who's not in his little circle, and he's going to realize like, oh, I'm still fucking weird, and the exes are going to go back up. And then he's
Just
going to have
because
to work.
that happened
That's
to you in high school.
That happens to people. It happens to people.
Again,
dude.
feature film,
Yes.
real life, IRL.
Yeah.
Not quite the same.
Yeah.
Let's enjoy
and
it
we
for
did
what
all
it is.
agree the X mechanism was a little janky.
Yes, absolutely.
So-
what's your fucking rating?
I'm going to give this movie like probably like a 6.57.
I knew you were gonna give a 6.5, and I just like was already getting my hatred juice
You
flowing
always
for you.
seem so surprised, but I just spent an hour and a half explaining to you why.
But we
just
also
it
spent
seems-
another hour and a half
Yeah.
explaining all the things you didn't notice.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean
That's
I'm
also true.
Yeah.
That is
Hold
very
on,
true.
hold on. Let's just say 6.5 for 65% of the movie.
Yes.
Does that correlate?
No. Yeah.
Because that's how much of the movie you retain.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Just fucking sick
So
of
actually,
Sick of-
if
sick
we
of-
scale that up, it's a perfect score, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, fair enough. Yeah. I included the parts I didn't retain in my scoring, though, just for the record, and they all got 0 scores by default.
Right. You pissed me off on this one.
You got fired up.
man,
Holy
yeah.
fuck. Okay, Jay, how about you? What do you rate this, buddy?
Just so the Shweebs know, this was my pick. I picked this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is why I'm so fired up about it.
sure.
Fuck you. Okay. Hey, I said it with a smile on my
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to say it from smiling.
We need to hug and have a drink after this.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
I mean, we want to. Though.
I never stopped loving you.
I know, but
Yeah.
I want to do that,
Well, we should do that.
whether you hate
anyways.
me or not.
Get
I-
a room.
I give.
You're not invited.
This is my house.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I give this a 9.0.
9.
A solid, absolute 9.
Interesting.
It made me cry throughout. I'm a big crybaby though with movies, so that happens all the time.
Dude, I am too, but I don't know.
Clearly,
man.
you're not though.
Dude, I am. Trust me. I cry at weird shit though.
I am going to bring
Same.
it back to the beginning where I said you are cold.
Dude, I cry.
And soulless.
Dude, I cried like 7
and-
times in this movie.
I cry at things like I cry at like movies my kid likes, like weird shit like that. I don't know.
You
man.
got weird kid shit though. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I have
Yeah,
a kid,
I
and
know.
I'm weird, so
yeah, and that's that kids are weird.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
weird.
Dude, I cry in like My Hero Academia, man.
I don't know what that one is yet.
Oh,
Mikey,
that's another one.
What's your rating?
I'm going to give this a solid 8, 8.5. Yeah.
You got to pick.
You always say a solid, and then,
And then you
give
give
two scores.
pick a solid one.
Okay, fine. I give this an 8.5.
I knew you were going
Nice.
to pick the higher one.
Fuck yeah, he
8.5.
is.
Yeah, because you want to go
8.5.
as far away from me as you can.
No, that 0.5 amounts to this.
I see how it is.
Yeah.
right,
Okay,
Shweebs.
Shweebs. I hope you enjoyed that.
Thanks for sticking it out with us,
Please
guys.
know that we still love each other, even though we
do.
say we hate each other.
We love each
Sometimes-
other more because of this. I promise.
It's true.
The weeds are definitely a hard one. More so these days, I find that we're getting more and more heated.
Yeah.
This is also a heavy themes
Yeah,
in
it's
this.
a heavy movie.
So,
Yeah, movie
It's
movie.
true. And I missed a bunch of them, so you guys got real mad.
Well, okay, so again, Shweebs, I need you guys to tell Jordy in the comments to stop taking some fucking notes and actually enjoy the whole movie.
I need you to tell Mikey and Jay to stop picking like 45 episode series to do in 1 week for this fucking podcast. And then I'll have time to watch the movie twice.
Jordy picked Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
See you guys.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. That was
your brainchild,
Your
buddy.
brainchild. You're the one like,
But
hey,
I
maybe
picked-
we could
you
do this.
brought it up.
and we
Yeah,
could
because
maybe,
you guys suggested it.
Well, we were gonna have to do Dragon Ball Z anyway.
I know, and that's why I was
eventually.
like, oh, okay.
Hey guys, we're doing Dragon Ball Z. Get ready.
Anyways, Jay, where can people find you, buddy?
Hanger91.bigcartel.com or on Instagram at hanger.91. I love Jordy very much.
This is the first day I've ever not worn any Hanger 91 merch, maybe since we started doing the
Because I'm
podcast.
slacking on getting you the gear.
It's because
my
I
fault,
knew you were going to
people.
hate me.
Ooh.
And it was preemptive spite.
Ooh.
That sounds like a very toxic relationship.
We have work to do.
Yeah. Okay.
You can find me at Reaching In on Instagram.
Yeah, you guys can find me at Korean Barbecue 86 on Instagram.
Yes.
I've got cats. I've got toys. Come hang out.
Hang out.
All right. Bye, guys.
We'll
Love
see ya.
you.
Peace
Bye-bye.
out. Bye.